of this country. So if you're a teacher or public servant, one of the workers of the statutory corporation, and you have been appointed, you should be grateful for that, because that's a magnificent act of the Democratic Labour Party, along with all of the labor legislation that has been put there to protect the workers, females, etc. So what we are doing as a party is not trying to hurt our own people. We did not refuse to give an increase to hurt our public servants. We did not refuse to give back income tax benefits to hurt the people. We were acting responsibly. And there's a time in the life of every nation, as of every people, as of every individual, when choices have to be made. And we took the high road to responsibility. There are some governments that would want to go with an election budget laughing out in order to win the support of the people. That was never done by this party. So that's one choice. Do you want to support a party of glitz and glamour and handouts and telling untruths about how they're going to provide for these things? Or do you want a party that comes and tells you, well, these are the facts, and we're responsible in terms of how we're going to relate to the future of our country? I prefer the Democratic Labour Party's approach anytime. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we have choices, and as we go through the night, we will talk about these choices. But we're glad to have Derek here. So without any further ado, I will invite my good friend, foundationer, and a stalwart of the Democratic Labour Party, Mr. Derek Allen. Please welcome Derek.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. The night is a little cool and we're going to get warm. It's really lovely to be here, and I want this evening to address the election not in the economic considerations and the development mode that Sir Bobby just did, but I want to look at it in purely political senses. And I want to do that because I remember in 1986, Dr. Don Blackman said at the Ivy that the 1986 election would have been a watershed in the history of Barbados. At that time, the issues were working class people struggling all their lives and seeking to get entry into New Barbados, being thwarted by some forces that hid in the background and influenced the direction politics was taking. And this time we have a similar concern, in that up front we put some people up front, but there's some people stirring this election, driving this election in a particular direction, because some people believe that Frondel Jerome Stewart had no right to become Prime Minister of Barbados, and it is time to let him go. In matter of fact, I was told, and I have no doubt that it was true, that the Democratic Labour Party was described by one of those businessmen as a slave, the rebellion with no end in sight. Now, I don't know if you all take politics serious, but I certainly do. And this election will either make or break the people of Barbados. If we do not look past the glamour and the optics and take a chance with the Barbados Labour Party, it is going to take this country a hell of a time before it recovers. And you only have to look at the images and the messages they are sending. They told you for the last 5 years that Barbados was struggling, that things were tight, and that the economy was going to collapse. And yet, they can bring a manifesto that if you really put a cost into it, it would cost each of us as a citizen $280,000. Each of us will have to find something like $500,000 a month for the next 5 years to get what they propose run. I'm not an economist, but economists friends of me put it that way to me. Each citizen will have to find about $500,000 each year to make their program work. But I certainly ain't got that. And I know the people that looking at me here don't have $500,000. And the other point that I want to underline my presentation with is that there's this perception that if the Barbados Labour Party is elected, somebody somewhere can find under the central bank a pocket full of money. It seems to me that they got some money buried under the central bank, and that somebody can go and get a hole and a fork and a drill, and the money can come out and we can get it to Spain. That's the next myth I'm feeling. But I started this way because the central to the whole political discussion is the question of who should lead us, the kind of person and the kind of persons that should lead and direct Barbados at this time. And I feel that when one is going to make a comparison about leaders, one should start by putting a definition or understanding of what leadership is. How do you define a leader? What characteristics should that individual have? What worldview should that person espouse that should attract the attention of the people that they seek to lead? How do you measure a leader? What are you looking for in a leader? And what are you expecting from a leader? And I think we are going to try that exercise here tonight. When I first started to do management courses, you should talk about democratic leadership, laissez-faire. Are we at dictatorial leadership. They had three types identified back in the 1940s under Drucker and those political and management scientists. Then they added charismatic. Then you had one, the transformational and the transactional. And all of those type of leadership models begin to develop. And more recently, they add a few more names, and they got something called the servant leader. And yet again, and you have those who are external driven and those who are internal driven. So we got more books right about leadership than any other subject under the earth. So we look at the two that we have, and you could, when I give you the information, you can tell me the kind of model. In 2013, the Democratic Labour Party won 16 seats, and the Barbados Labour Party won 14. I remember waiting for the first call-in program the next week, and the first item that hit, this government cannot last. The margin is too small, and the eager 11 waiting in the wings. It is going to be piss and hot pepper water. They said that the Prime Minister could not hold the other 15 together. They said that the Democratic Labour Party would get no legislation passed. The argument was that if you take the speaker out, it left 15-14. That would mean that no minister could travel, because the Labour Party would not allow any bill to pass in the House of Assembly. And for the first 6 months, most of us who understand politics, walk a little slowly, because there was a little sense in that. You can frustrate a government if you have a slim margin. So we walked a little careful. But would you know that by the time 2014 ended, the Barbados Labour Party was about to lose one. Barbados Labour Party was about to lose one. And in 2015, the former Prime Minister Oinafa moved to the back bench, not the back bench, sorry, the back of the House of Assembly and became independent. Now this is a former Prime Minister, President and leader of the Barbados Labour Party. This is not Derek Ali or Bobby Morris. This is the leader of the Barbados Labour Party deciding that he cannot take Mia Motley. He cannot take Mia Motley. Coming back to that. And within another year, Dr. Agard says, me neither. Me neither. Now, that is the leader. The 16 on the other side, the 16 that couldn't survive, locked in to their job. Economy tough, social services under pressure, but the 16 lock in to their job. Prime Minister short, top of the ship, hands up, boat rolling. And from 2015, let me say 16, Mia Motley and her crowd of gay men and women living in a fairyland began to walk about Barbados calling for elections. A motley group of gay and friendly people looking for an election. Now, I have to spend a little time on Miss Motley. Because this is the person that if the Barbados Labour Party gets more seats on the 24th than we do, will be taken and put up in front of us as Barbados is the leader. This is not about Mia Motley, the lady from in the woods, with that place name, the woods, Eden Lodge Woods or whatever it is. This is not, we're talking about the leader. We have to assess the qualities of the leader. Is this the person? Is this person the one that we want to be put up in front of the world and say, this is a reflection of us? This is the person I want my children to emulate. This is the one I want to guide the future Barbados. So let us, can't say on dress. Let's examine Mia Motley. And to do that, we have to start by asking a couple of questions. Now, I'm not getting into the crybaby thing, but I can't pass, let her pass. But we won't start here. In 1994, Ms. Motley was Minister of Education, Youth and Culture. The first thing she did was to remove the Chief Education Officer, Mr. Ralph Boyce. Mr. Ralph Boyce had done nothing else in his public service career except work in education and, of course, with the credit union. And Ms. Motley put him out to pasture, and he eventually ended up as the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. First thing. The second thing Ms. Motley did was to send 28 youth commissioners, pick them herself, calling, oh Lord, his last name slips me out, made him senior youth advisor, took David Denny, made him principal youth officer, paid them more higher salaries than senior public officers, and left the youth department in so much chaos that the Ministry of Civil Service up to now still can't get the skills and the salaries work out for that staff. Up till now. You got so many people they're grandfathered that they can't fit it in the scale. That's Miss Morley. Next thing she did. The youth service had a cadre of 100 recruits in a small facility down St. Lucie. In one swoop sling, Miss Morley moved the intake from 100 to 200. The place could barely hold 100. So you had boys and girls sleeping in the same facility, all kind of confusion. Brought on some people who can read, who had no training at all. And the youth service went from growing to dying. That's Miss Morley. That's Miss Morley. Anyhow, they changed her from youth affairs, and they put her in charge of home affairs because she was Attorney General. And the first thing that happened is that the prison burned down. I ain't saying Miss Morley burned it down, but it burned down under her watch, so it's her fault. Everything that happened under Minister Sinclair's watch was his fault. When oil prices went up, it was Sinclair's fault. So if the prison burned down, it got to be Miss Morley's fault. And with that, she shut down the youth service. Shut it down and put the prison down there. So the youth service then went into a natural abeyance. Shut down, done, closed down. That's the young people that we now train to sort out. Miss Morley put then the prison down St. Lucie and throw the youth service out to the woods. 2 years without youth service. That's Miss Morley. They gave her the post office to restructure because she was in charge of home affairs. Got nothing done with it. A lot of empty air, a lot of big talk. Nothing was done until she was moved. That's number 2. They gave Miss Morley Ministry of Social and Economic Affairs. And in 2006-07 election, the Urban Development Commission, for whom she was responsible, received the highest money ever that any other ministry, any other department ever got. The Urban Development Commission is a unit. No other unit in the history of allocations has ever received the kind of money that was given to Ms. Morley in 2006-07 into the election year. I am telling you, as I speak today, we are still trying to collect over $11 million in debt and loans that were distributed in that place. You put Miss Morley in anything, it mash up. You cannot put Miss Morley in charge of your dog house with fleas in it. She won't get a flea caught. Rather, the dog will run away. And this is the kind of person we want to hand the reins of Barbados to. She mash up the Labour Party. Because look, I have checked the meeting schedules of the Barbados Labour Party. I have checked them. And I find that George Payne very silent. I find that Dale Marshall very silent. I hear him with Kirk Humphrey and all kind of people. So I know in my belly that all is not well in that place. But that is not our business. But again, back to Miss Morley. Now, Miss Morley calling for election since 2014. And she finally gets the chance to run the Barbados Labour Party election campaign. She sent and asked for a manifesto launch. Cancelled. Second manifesto launch, mini manifesto. I ain't getting into that document because my belly tells me to leave it alone, because my cousin may have had something to do with it, and I don't discuss him or his business on political platforms anymore. But it looks to me that he had something to do with it. It reminds me of a document we had during the 1997 by-election. Looks a lot like it, with a lot of empty promises that we know that we couldn't fulfill, but we had to get something quick because the by-election get called. You gotta get something to impress people, so we put up something with markets and stalls and something that we work out that we can do. It takes me about 15 minutes to do. So that reminds me of that. But I said how to simply how to walk with me. Walk with me and look at Miss Motley as a leader. Look at Motley as a leader. That's the point. Don't mind the empty talk. Look at her as leading something. Where has Miss Motley ever been successful? Rich ministry. Rich ministry. I walk you through 3 different ministries. Rich ministry, can anybody up there point to and say when Miss Motley was there, this happened? Education, edutech, mashup. Education, St. Leonard's, over $15 million in real estate. Education, Ernestine Teachers College, left the mashup. Go through them. And the people of Barbados thinking about giving Miss Motley the job as Prime Minister. On the other hand, you have from that shore. Easy, quiet. I am told that last year, when he was at the UN to do one set of business, there was a big issue. I think at the time when Mr. Trump was starting to discuss the resettlement of illegals, the Prime Ministers of the Caribbean looked around for someone to lead the discussion, and the only eligible person present was from that shore. And without a note, he led the debate for the Caribbean on the matter of the resettlement of illegal immigrants at the United Nations. I want you to really look at Ms. Motley at UN. At the Commonwealth heads of government meeting, see Ms. Motley as our Prime Minister there. And at the end of the day, nothing. Ms. Motley cannot finish a sentence. I call Ms. Motley the Minister of Rhetoric and Catchphrases. I get tired to hear people saying that Ms. Motley right. Nothing upsets me more. Nothing upsets me more. But because she named Motley, she has a right to be right. She has a right to have this, the right to get that. Not in Barbados in 2018. We want people that are servant leaders. We want servant leaders, people who know how it is to follow, how to accept following. If you can't accept following, then you cannot lead. You have to understand how the other side feels to really become a good leader. And Ms. Motley has never understood how to follow. Wait, I said the 11 plus, ask her if she said hers. Ask her. Ask her this year, I said the 11 plus. And everybody after 1962 had to say the 11 plus. Ask her if she ever said the 11 plus. Don't ask me, ask her. I went to the University of West Indies and the University of Leicester. I asked my qualifications that when I went to Urban, and I gave them. These are, I asked Ms. Motley for her NEC. Ask her. I sat in the Senate with Dr. Lowe when he was the senator, and every day, Dr. Boo Boo. Then he went went to the house. Man, bring your doctorate. Let me see it. Bring it. He brought his. Turn up with it. Made it a document of the house. Asked her for her qualification. She bring a letter for Dlpbarbados. And we accept it. Because she is immortally. We want to accept it because she is immortally. Dr. Lowe must bring his qualifications. But she doesn't have to bring hers, and she don't have to answer either. She doesn't have to answer because she's immortally. But they from the hall. And I know about Lee. I know Rugged, her grandfather. And my mother can tell you stories about the Rugged Marley. I'm going into Queen's Park to get 2 yards of khaki and 2 yards of blue. And the manhandling of all those women who used to go for khaki. You leave home at 11 o'clock at night and line up. And as you get the yard of khaki or yard of blue, he can tell you how full your breasts are, how small they are. That's her grandfather. That's her grandfather. And we had enough of those. And it got Dlpbarbados so cruel. You hear? He used to treat poor people. That he said, I can't get here out of the city. I am going to take the city out of here. And done with it. You can't even imagine in 1961 what the called, I think the logo in the city was, vote for Marley and get free khaki. That was the slogan. My mother got raised a brother of mine whose mother went to England and left him with her when he was 3 and I was then 2. His father would not support him. And my mother went to speak to Mr. Marley about some help for this little boy that his father would support him and his mother overseas. She tells me I can speak about this and he doesn't speak about it. And she went down by Marley Place in Cheapside. And after waiting for an hour and a half, she went in to see the mayor. And he gave her 2 25-cent pieces and tell her that's all I have. And my mother said she started to cry. And as she came outside, a gentleman saw her crying. There's a woman laying up crying. The man said, what happened? She tell the man his story. The man took a piece of paper and wrote a letter and tell her you take that to the court. You go down to the court and you ask for the court and you give it to her. And within 3 weeks, Vincent's father had to be paying $2.50 a week for him. Marley never cared. Marley never ever cared. And he has transferred that quality to his granddaughter. He has transferred that quality to his granddaughter. And when I see little working class boys and girls running about in a red shirt, my near tears, nothing bothers me more. I know how it is to deal with Marley. I know how it is to live with Marley. I from Eagle Hall. And I tell you all, Marleys have no interest in anybody but themselves. None. And I come into my last point. Anytime you get a levy on income tax, it is because you have not paid. Once you pay, you don't go ask for no relief. Pay. And that $1.4 million, nobody believes you. Nobody believes Elliot Marley. Nobody. Nobody accused Miss Marley anything. Nobody said she did anything. Nobody, both persons here, come and explain it. And he crying. Ladies and gentlemen, This is a serious election. It's about character. It's about track record. It's about caring and respect for people. It's about team building. It's about having a heart to be able to reach the people. We need our people motivated. I saw in today's paper a man wrote that he wanted Mr. Morley to come and do a Margaret Thatcher. See, boy, look, this place, I have to go, ladies and gentlemen. But please, I didn't even get to talk about Dr. Lowe, except that. Anyhow, thank you for listening to me. Go and do the right thing. Keep the DLB strong and keep the Dr. Lowe in the House of Assembly. I thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Before I introduce the next speaker, let me just, we had recently in this community a stalwart of this community who recently passed away. So I want to ask you to let us stand and observe a moment of silence as a respect of this individual, Mrs. Dlpbarbados, who would have made human service to this community over the years. May his soul and the souls of all the departed rest in peace. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is no stranger. But before I introduce him, let me say to you that political representation is service, hard work, being accessible to the people who elect you. This individual, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, is an individual who has produced a lot of hard work, not only in his ministry, but also in his constituency. He's just like Dr. Lowe. He's caring and he provides for his people. I am saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, if it's one thing that pleases me, on mornings when I go down to Dover Road heading towards Sanders, I am happy and pleased to see the amount of young people traversing that road, going off to work at the various hotels in that community. This individual has worked tirelessly for the Democratic Labour Party and for this country. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you a gentleman I refer to as a friend of mine, Mr. Richard Seeley.
Thank you very much, Peter, and greetings to the Christchurch East family. It is a pleasure to be here again in parish land, and I'm here to support the Democratic Labour Party and, of course, the candidacy of one of our titans, Dr. Dennis Lowe, who has been an amazing representative for this constituency, has taken representation to unprecedented levels. I see the Swing Low posse is still here, all of those young people. I well recall when he first started courting this constituency, how effectively he was able to attract a lot of young people to his message. And that has continued. Of course, coming into government, he started in the social care department. Late PM had asked him to take that ministry and did a lot of the heavy lifting for the establishment of the constituency councils and so on. Before then, I think it was Chris then came on and he actually moved the legislation in Parliament. But a lot of the heavy lifting was done by Dr. Lowe, but he really flourished, in my view, and continues to flourish as one of the finest ministers of the environment anywhere in the Caribbean. And that's a fact in terms of the leadership that he has brought to that issue and continues to bring to that issue. It's something very important to us as you would imagine, very important to me as the responsibility for tourism. Our ecosystems are a large part of what we sell as a tourism product. But I think it is good, not only for the Democratic Labour Party, not only for the Christchurch East family, but for Barbados, that we have someone who is so highly regarded on this issue of sustainable development and protection of the environment and climate change, global warming, and those very important issues that are relevant to us as a small island developing state. These vulnerabilities, and he brings some leadership in the discussion on the ways to mitigate the impacts of these various elements. And he is actually sought after outside of the region as well. And I know that, well, I hope he's within my earshot right now, because I not only come to speak in support of him, but I am prepared to even say, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you, Dennis, for the wonderful service that you have rendered in the past decade. You know, we don't like often to recognize our own, but I only by chance had an encounter with, when I was in Montreal, the former Minister of the Environment, Stéphane Dion, from Canada, and he was able to speak about Dr. Lowe and the regard with which he was held in by his counterparts, as I said, even beyond the region. So he is a treasure. And through all of this, he understands the business of politics where it really matters. I believe it was the late Speaker of the House of Representatives in the USA, Tip O'Neill, that said all politics is local. And through Dennis's amazing work that has taken him across the globe, he has never forgotten the communities in Christchurch East. And that is a tribute to him, and a reason why you should hold on to him as a representative, as a true treasure, and someone who is unapologetic about what he has to do for the communities that make up this constituency. And I would like to think that when you look at what we are offering the Democratic Labour Party, Dennis's story is a peculiar one, yes, and I gave a synoptic version of it over the past couple of minutes. But each and every one of the candidates that we have on offer have a peculiar story, but the common theme that runs through is putting people first. It's appropriate, in my view, that the most popular of the campaign songs that we have refers to the People's Army. And we have so many candidates soldiering in that regard. So Rodney Grant brings a different twist as a developmental specialist, also of international acclaim, I might add. But his twist is different, but at the heart it is people development. Young Nicholas Alley brings another twist, but a career credit unionist, former nationals representative in football and so on, and continues to do work again at the community level in that arena. What is the common denominator? The focus on people. We could talk about Kim Tudor and the work that she's doing, a services-based economy, and working on developing service excellence. What is it again? People. And I could go down the whole slate if you wanted me to, but I mean, I don't think you'll plan to be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I will mention, I'm being heckled here by one of my best friends, Henderson Williams, of course. part of the St. Michael South Zone. I was with him today by the Kensington, the Jama Masjid, what people would call the mosque, and watching Henderson interface with his Muslim brothers, soon to be constituents. The ease. But again, as a businessman, as a credit unionist, as an organizer in the King Street area, a young entrepreneur, what again is it that he has been in? People. So we have a very attractive slate. And you will note that those candidates I mentioned are all new candidates coming on board to join Dennis and myself and our colleagues, so that as we go into the third term, we have some fresh blood, fresh ideas, and these people are determined to see that we can continue to develop Barbados in a sensible and responsible fashion. And we don't think that the answer to developing Barbados is to make wild promises. There is another issue that I came face to face with today, and I must confess, this is my 5th election, and I have never had to experience in the other 4 elections what I experienced today. 2 separate reports from 2 different areas in my constituency of red t-shirts being distributed, and contained within the folds would be no, they're gone past that now. According to Canton, what Canton would say, 2 Sir Grantleys and an Errol Barron with a piece of scotch tape across. That is what is going on. Apparently, this is what is happening. And I have 2 independent reports. And you know, they are so wild, they are so reckless. One, from someone who is a goddaughter of mine. Yes, when you've been in politics as long as I have, you have a lot of godchildren. They don't even know who they are carrying on with this reckless behavior to. I have never experienced a situation where we have seen money being so liberally thrown around by the Barbados Labour Party like in this election. I refer to those meetings, the meetings, one down there by Weymouth. That, you saw that set up, anybody? That infrastructure is for $400,000, $500,000. East Coast, about the same thing. Plus you had to pay for 150 ZRs, $800 a pop. Money just being spent. Look at how many red t-shirts, even if they're $3 US a piece. Well, that's $150,000, $200,000 easy. Where is all of this money coming from? And you know, yes, somebody told me when I saw the setup for the manifesto launch in Oistins, you know, with the high chairs and so on, they, you know, totally foreign to what we are used to here. Someone told me that I should Google political campaigning in Nigeria and see if you don't see how the stages are set up there in certain oil-rich states when they are having elections. I encourage you to do the same thing too. Totally foreign, but what we are seeing is money being thrown around left, right, and center. And I think that, honestly speaking, under these circumstances, since we are being told that they have been washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Barbados Labour Party has been purified, this is what they're saying. Got rid of Oinatha and Mairead Agard and David Gill and all those elements. So now they have a purified party coming to you, and the first thing they are going to do is pass integrity legislation, making all kind of snide remarks about a cabinet that I am part of, a cabinet that I would defend anywhere in the world and support Transparency International as being one of the cleanest, if not the cleanest governments you can find anywhere on this planet. So my message to the Barbados Labour Party is tonight, if you don't have to wait until after elections to discover integrity, let us talk about transparency and integrity now. Where are these millions of dollars coming from that you are spending during this campaign? Tell us. You're so transparent. Tell us. You're so transparent, you're going to tell us exactly the difference between taxes owed and interest and whether you're waiving the taxes. One piece of legislation and another piece of legislation if you're waiving interest and all of that. Listen, I don't want to get into that part. But again, those of you who follow estimates and budget, you probably know where I normally speak. I usually give the first speech after the delivery of the budget. And for that reason, I have to sit down and listen to the whole reply because I'm going next. So whether it lasts 15 minutes, 30 minutes, if it lasts 4 hours, I gotta get corns on my behind. I gotta listen to the whole speech. Simple. I sat down and heard with my own 2 ears. I ain't watch it on the internet. I ain't hear it on the radio. I ain't read it in the newspaper. I sat in the House of Assembly and I heard the following words. They may try to say that I am associated with a law firm that owes millions in tax. But we don't care. We are going to pay, even if it takes 30 years to pay, we can pay. Now, could they? You mean to tell me after all of that confusion in the 90s, in 2016, 17, you can actually almost, with bluster, you still owe millions and you can pay it whenever you can pay it? And women that gas station workers and so on, that once they go over the threshold, PAYE coming out every week, you ain't got to say. You got to pay. And if you're lucky, well, when you put in your, if something coming back at you, you got to get in the queue and wait. When you after you file your return, I really didn't want to, as I said, I will leave Mr. Motley and Mr. Arthur to have their little contest, but I only tell you what I heard the leader of the opposition say with my own 2 ears. Nobody accused her of anything. She volunteered the information. She declared it. But I don't understand it. It's very much like the story with the life certificate that Henry Ford and Dlpbarbados signed. And that's what it was. The little thing saying, I know who this body is and signed it. And I saw, again, a little reference. No. When and the O-levels as well. The O-level certificates from Queen's College and so on. But again, nobody, she volunteered it and made it a document of the House. But anyway, I don't, there are questions that need to be answered, and I think it's only reasonable. If you have all this integrity and you are ready to commit to the law books, all this integrity, demonstrate it now, don't talk about it. Let us see. Let's see it now. And starting with explaining this mega money being thrown up and down and all over this place. And I am hearing stories. I have some intelligence that I have gathered. and it specifically relates to the St. Michael constituency, the ones that one or two of them are in trouble because they still come from Boston and Bradshaw. They figure that they're in the departure lounge, and Trevor Prescott on the way out too. So the plan is to bring in the valises. You know, I want to hear, and I don't think they got in close. I am getting some interesting intelligence reports. One Aaron Trust has been knocking around those southern St. Michael constituencies, and we are well aware of his methods. Very well aware. As a matter of fact, I leave here to go and speak in Hill Road. They know him very well down there. We will watch it, but we will not allow people who just talk the talk but can't walk the walk on these issues. I really, again, only wanted to touch on these matters, but I had to. And indeed, lend support to Dr. Lowe and what he has been pushing. He understands also that politics is about values and what you represent and the leadership that you must bring to a country at the level of values. Policies will follow, but the epigenesis is what you believe in, what you hold dear, what you represent. Can young people look up to you? And I think that in that regard, you tell me who is ahead between Frondell Stewart and Mia Motley. I clear in my mind. And we don't have to hold any national referendum to determine what the values of Barbados are. We are very clear and comfortable governing this country without having to refer to an electorate that is already very clear on these things. What is it you're trying to get through the back door? Talk frankly. Don't waffle all over the place. No 30 people should determine what thing. What is 30 people determine the values of Barbados, what we hold dear. We have to consult with the people. A lot of waffle. But anyhow, so I wait to hear about this money and what has been promised for it, because I suspect that that letter that Chris Sinkler read out in Bay Street, there is more to that. And the absence of certain people on the platform of the Barbados Labour Party, Derek Allen referred to this in his speech. A serious point. The same characters that have been noticeably silent in the campaign are the same characters that had a big cuss out with over that same issue of Mr. Peters and the Nigerian connection. But I am not, again, here so much to get into that. This is Christchurch East, and one of the important elements of the functioning of this parish, Christchurch Parish, and this is the, as I said, the eastern tip, is the tourism industry. And tourism is in a very good place. We've come out of a global financial crisis, and this Democratic Labour Party has been able to put tourism in a very good place, and able to bring unprecedented levels of visitorship to Barbados. We are now in the 4th year of record arrivals. We are trending to have a 4th year of record arrivals. In 2015, 592,000. In 2016, 632,000. Last year, 2017, 667,000. And I'm approximating here. And 2018 year to date, we're trending ahead of 2017. And record will be 3% at least in terms of arrivals. Additionally, we had 827,000 short-stay cruisers last year, and that too is a record. So we have been putting the industry in the right place. But importantly, we haven't only just been trying to get numbers here to count heads. We've been trying to improve the experience that they have once they're here. And because of the restructuring initiative and the focus of this government, Barbados was able to be awarded the Northstar Destination Satisfaction Index Global Award, being a global leader and being named #1 among 140 destinations around the world. And that is a credit to the work that has been done not only by the tourism agencies, but by the entire government. Our tourism product is connected to what Dennis is doing at the NCC, the Environmental Protection Department, the Sanitation Service Authority, and all the other work that Stephen is doing at Culture, the work that is happening in terms of our youth, the work that is going on in the Hotel School, Palmerine, Ronald Jones, bringing some leadership there. I know he has plans to expand it, and he will have to based on our needs and the direction the industry is going in. So we as a government have focused heavily on trying to grow our tourism sector and to increase its impact on the economy. Just to say as well, that the question of spend is a non-issue. Nobody has any truly accurate measure of tourism spend in Barbados. What we have, thanks to the CTO exit surveys, are indicative numbers. And on the basis of those indicative numbers, we are able to do a limited amount with them. We do not have tourism satellite accounts in Barbados, so we do not have an accurate measure of spend. We are in the process of developing those numbers. But I would like again to make a point that I've had to make before. The Smith Travel Research report that Barbados has shows that the rack rate for all hotel rooms sometimes gets as high as $525 US on average during the winter season. And it has only been on the up and up. If our numbers are up, if hotel occupancies are up, and if they're spending more money to be in the hotel, it should follow by reason of a logical conclusion that we are enjoying more spend. Now it is true, some of the stays may be shorter, but it is not true to suggest that these increased numbers are not impacting at the level of spending. Listen, all of the tourists that come to Barbados stay somewhere. You don't see them on the street sleeping. All of them have to get around, even if it is in a ZR. Most of them use a taxi. You don't see tourists on the street bumming lifts. They're paying for transport. They're paying for accommodation. They don't beg for food. They're going in the shops, even if they go by cars for bread too. And most of them eat in restaurants. Do not allow no DLP propaganda that we are seeing increasing numbers, but they ain't spending. Ask them to bring the proof. And you can't bring a CTO exit survey. The CTO is a wonderful organization. I've been on the Council of Ministers for 10 years. I once chaired the council. But the point is, you have to take what they do in its correct context. The Secretary General, Hugh Riley, who is a product of parish land, he grew up, I think, very near here. Hugh Riley, excellent Secretary General, and he will be the first to tell you that those exit surveys are indicative numbers. At accurate numbers of tourism spend requires you to trace the flow of the money through the economy. And that calls for tourism satellite accounts, a project currently being done along with the Barbados Statistical Service to develop the tables that are needed in the different areas so we can get that accurate measure of spend. Right now, what we have basically are only indicative numbers. The future for tourism is quite bright because we continue to attract new flights, more airlift from our major source markets. We continue to look for new source markets. From winter of this year, we will have another Miami flight. 3 Miami flights from American Airlines a day, connecting through that hub to all over the US and all over the world actually. That is an existing market being developed. But guess what? From July, we will have Copa coming out of Panama City. Again, a new market. We are building the existing and we are also developing the new because we want to have an industry that when going forward, we want to have an industry that remains relevant, that remains robust. And we believe as well with the 1,000 rooms that are under construction, adding to the 7,000 rooms that we have now, putting us at 8,000 rooms, we can see unemployment continue to fall. It also will allow for a balance of payment current account surplus by 2020. We can earn the foreign exchange we need for our own current expenses. I'm not talking about capital expenses in terms of projects, etc. We can do it. Tourism will create over 5,000 jobs by 2020 when you add on the rooms of Sam Lords and Ammon and what was Ammon, it will be soon Sandals, and some other work being done even nearby in this constituency on Miami Beach, the 44 rooms there, the Accra building. You had the 44 added at Sea Breeze lately. New rooms, new jobs, more foreign exchange. And those 5,237 direct jobs in the industry will lead to just over 15,000 generally. For every 1 tourism job, you create 3 because of the economic multiplier effect. And we will continue to steadily and deliberately develop this industry in a responsible and reasonable fashion. Our first 50 years were about social development and we have done well. Our next 50 years have to be about economic development and, of course, empowering our people. And this Democratic Labour Party has the plan. We have the program. Everything I shared with you tonight is based on fact. I don't have to fly kites. When I tell you about bringing unemployment down to 5%, it is because tourism brought it from 12.3 to 9.7% between 2016 and 2014. The words of the governor of the central bank, not my words, the then governor. In 2015, he spoke of the stellar performance of tourism, and that was the first record year. We gone back and we mashed up that record twice now, and we're going to do it again a 3rd time. We are carrying this industry in the right direction so that you can have jobs that last. Jobs in tourism are based on the earnings that come from outside. In other words, they're based on foreign exchange. They're sustainable. Jobs that a government provides for you are always a bit risky because it impacts the fiscal situation of the government. In essence, the money that we have to pay. So unless you can tax people, you can't afford to do too much hiring. And if you want to reduce taxes, you have to look at your numbers in government. The jobs we want are the jobs in tourism. And we are getting them. So with God's help, we can continue to earn and continue to enjoy true economic independence as we go forward for the next 50 years. So my message to you, folks here in Parish Land, we have seen some very difficult times, but we have weathered the storm and we have put this country on course for a prosperity that is achievable, that is realistic, and that can occur, yes, in a sustainable manner over a period of time. We're building it brick by brick. We are not the party of the wild promises. We're the party that's making realistic pledges. And you can compare the documents and see for yourself. But more importantly, you have a quality representative, a hard-working representative, and someone who has been a credit to this nation, been a credit to this government. And I want to urge all of you to come out on the 24th of May, that's less than a week away now, on Thursday, and support Dr. Dennis Lowe, my friend and colleague. And those of you visiting, do the thing and support the Democratic Labour Party. Love you all, always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best tourism minister this country has ever seen. Taking tourism to heights. And we now have the pleasure of welcoming to the platform the best minister of education that this country has seen. After the founders like Sandyford, he's taken education to new heights. And one of the magnificent 5 for Christchurch. I need you to recognize that the person who got the highest number of votes in terms of Democratic Labour Party votes in the 2013 election was Dr. Dennis Lowe. And the second person was Ronald Jones. I welcome Ronald Jones, one of the magnificent Christchurch 5, to address us at this time. And also notice that we have the former Minister of Health, John Boyce, another member of the magnificent 5 with us, Ronald Jones.
Thank you very much, Bobby, and good night to all of you here at Parish Land. I said good night. Thought I had to bring a lot of correction. It's really a pleasure of mine to be here and to share this platform with Dr. Lowe. You all know Dr. Lowe is an outstanding speaker, a man who, when he deals with psychology, philosophy, sociology, issues of the environment, is possibly one of the better speakers and leaders in those areas of activity. I don't have to endorse him because you have endorsed him in 2008. You repeated that in 2013. And I am definitively assured that you all will repeat that in 2018. It is said that the good that men do don't necessarily live after death. And in this instance, Dr. Lowe has attracted some venom from some of those whom he has done good for. And sometimes it can be a lonely place when you're a politician and you look around for some people to hold your hands or to hold your shoulders, to give you a call or reassure you that everything will be all right, then to find that no one is there. But one of the good things in Christchurch East is that Dr. Law has developed a cadre of friendships, supporters, and those who stand by him through thick and thin. And I applaud all of you for those gestures, for that level of commitment to a man who has brought so much, but asked for so little. And therefore, he will ask you again, and he has been asking you over and over to give him your support and to give the Democratic Labour Party your support as well. We need Christchurch. Starting in the east, we need that seat. Moving into the south, we need that seat. And then we go over the hill, Alston Hill and Thornbury Hill and Maxwell Hill, Top Rock, and we need Christchurch East Central. We have had the pleasure of representing for 3 terms now. And then we need Christchurch West. We have never won that seat. But I think the time is right for the Democratic Labour Party and Verley de Pisa to win that seat and to bring effective representation to the good people of Christchurch West. I think we do. I know we do. And I am conscious that those people will possibly for the first time in how many years, Bobby? I mean, just a long, long time, had representation from the Barbados Labour Party until a chap by the name of Dugade came along and demonstrated how not to represent people, how not to leave them in the lurch, disappear into Canada in the midst of his election between 2008 and 2013. He just up and left them. But then he believed that there are stupid people, that persons who support the Barbados Labour Party are stupid people. That is his view. So he can come back, he can return after aiding and abetting the destruction of a lady by the name of Maria Agard. He can come back, say to the people, I have money, let's all get ready to go. And therefore he is a declared candidate once again of the Barbados Labour Party. But we make sport, we like to make sport. Citizens believe that politics is theater. So you roll out your old-time cinema right here on this pasture. The mobile cinema used to be called, organized by the Government Information Service. So you used to bring Barabbas. And who else, John? Barabbas.
I remember.
Some of you remember those old-time days. So you used to gather because there were no television in our homes, one solitary refugium. And therefore the only enjoyment had to come from the mobile service. And everybody used to gather to watch Dlpbarbados. So there are people who have grown up believing that some citizens are fools, they can make sport at them, especially if you come from money background. You can mistreat poor people, people who are vulnerable, and especially if you don't have their level of education, it is even worse. And that is intensified in the Barbados Labour Party. And that is why they choose candidates such as Duguid and a fella by the name, and it's so difficult, I really don't remember the name. We call him Abrams. Those are who they choose, who will look upon people with disdain and disrespect and really don't care. But if we don't care about ourselves, if you don't care about yourselves, then they can do whatever they want. Then they can make laughing sport at you. So Abrams can make laughing sport at Dr. Law, because Dr. Law comes from her humble origins in St. Andrew, and pull himself up by his bootstraps. He started to learn a little later in life than most other people. Somebody got into his head and told him, boy, look, you are bright. Stop wasting time. And he gathered himself and went off to God's Bible School, first instance. And then went off to the University of Cincinnati and worked his way through his master's degrees and then his doctorate, his MD. But persons like Abrams, who look down their noses at people from humble origins, I don't know where he comes from, because I must make the point too, that they're persons of humble origins who don't care about others. They discard them and show significant disregard of them. But Dr. Law has brought himself to service. He's educated himself and he's brought himself to service. I remember in 1999, Dr. Law running in St. Andrew. He wasn't successful. In 2003, he ventured to Christchurch East and he wasn't successful. And he could have thrown up his arms in despair and simply say, I'm done with that, I'm not wasting my time with those people up in the parish, right? He did not say that. He stood between 203 and 208, never leaving. He didn't leave, he didn't quit. He didn't get on a plane and go up to Manitoba or Saskatchewan or the Yukon. He stayed right in this constituency and got to know the people even better, and the people got to know him even better. And the people knew that once the next election cycle came around, that Dr. Law was going to be their representative. And so said, so done. Dr. Law became, in 2008, I believe it was in what, February or January? January of 2008, the representative for the constituency of Christchurch East. So I don't have to ask you to vote for him. You've already done that, and you will do that again.
Yeah.
Because mutual respect has developed between you, between Dr. Law and yourselves. This is a man whose capacity for organizing and supporting that which is organized in the community, a capacity to support St. Bartholomew Primary School, St. Christopher Primary School, to put down clear parks in this constituency. I see as you go through Ferry Valley, there's a player park, Scotch, right next to the playing field. And you go down the hill, you get one too. Several dotted across this constituency. Because he cares about youth, he cares about children, he cares about young people. You don't have to come and beg Dr. Lowe in every graduation or speech days coming around. He anticipates when those things are going to happen and makes his contribution to those schools for the children of those schools. So you can rest assured that as children results come back in a few weeks, as schools plan their graduation, they can plan it with a certain knowledge that Dr. Lowe will not only be attending or sending someone to represent him, but he will also be making his contribution to those schools. I mean, that is how it is. Because he sees representation not simply as saying, I need your X, and then turning his back, but that he must commit himself to serious and deliberate service. And that's what you get. The other fellow now is a show of peace. We all know that Dr. Lowe had a medical challenge or two. And we all, as human beings, empathize and demonstrated care and concern. But you know what that fellow did? He was walking about boasting and hoping that he did not return. That Claude Jones or Joanne Jones or Ellie Smith would have been present in his life. Now that cannot be righteous. That cannot be decent. It is when a man is down that everybody should try to lift him up. That is, I believe, what the good Lord would have asked all of us to do. When a man is down, we lift him up. We don't stand on his face or stand on his back. Now, if someone does that and wants to be your representative, you have to give a resounding no to that. Because let's, for argument's sake, consider Dr. Lowe as his equal in the sense of the political class. You are not in the political class, and if he wants to see him being carried away in a body bag, what would he say about you? That is the issue. Sometimes people reduce all life to simple or to economics, buying and selling, the merchant, going to poverty. That's how sometimes people just reduce life. I got some money in my pocket. Money in my pocket and I'm ready to go. But that's not it at all. Money is simply a means to an end. A means to survive, but there's so many other things that make our lives important. It is the quality of our thoughts, the quality of our hearts, how we care about our brothers and our sisters and our next door neighbor, and the cat that crossed the street and the dog outside the door. How we treat them too. And therefore, as persons who come to you in a 5-year cycle and say, I want to continue, as in this instance, to be your representative. It is not only about going up to Parliament and passing legislation or determining what money is saying on your behalf. Those are simple things. But it's the awakening of consciousness, of mind, of heart, of spirit, of being in your citizens, in those you represent, awakening that consciousness in recognition of humanity. That is also what is important. And once we all pull those things and wrap ourselves in them, we are on the path to a better society. Because the economy will always have productive sectors. It will always have sectors which will generate income, foreign exchange, money from the local economy, employment. These things are natural. But some things that are not that natural, we have to create. And we have to create that empathy and sympathy and give response, not just simply by the head, but you thinking through all of these things, but by the heart as well, which reaches out and gives love and care and good regard. I will tell you this tonight, that you support a party, you support a representative, and representative of the Democratic Labour Party, who not only think about trying to make all the money in the world, important as it is, but who also care about the quality of lives of the citizens of Barbados. So when we are forced into a dark alley, into a deep hole, rest assured that we all are thinking about what best to do to mitigate against the harshest aspects of any difficulties which might abound, which might be part of our environment. And therefore, we have in this election to come to one conclusion. And that conclusion is to give the Democratic Labour Party and its candidates a further opportunity to take us over the hump that we had encountered between 2008 and now. Growth has returned to our economy. It is not at the level that we would like yet, but we've planted those seeds and we've seen them grow to reach the level that we would want, to improve our gross domestic product, to have more and more people employed, more young men and young women, and those who have families. That is what is happening. No pie in the sky. This does not contain any pies in any sky. What you see up there are clouds, not pies. So I want you to get one of these and read it in conjunction with the document we produced late last year, and to understand that we are creating a path of sustainability, that we're creating a path where corruption and the throwing away of monies of the citizen no longer exists. But we can't do that alone. Out of our loneliness, we need your support to make those changes, to ensure that the little boy or little girl up at St. Bartholomew can have a better school today, that the school meals, which they get if you want it, can continue, because there's still some children who don't get 3 square meals a day. And this party, the originators of that school feeding program, now you see the Dlpbarbados party said they were the originators. I don't quarrel with that, but I know they had milk and biscuits. We bought food to the children at lunch, so that even if they get a cup of their leaf tea in the evening, they can still have nourishment in their stomach at lunchtime. So I want you to read this. Don't look for the glitz and the glamour. Don't go for the red baller t-shirts with a $300 bill in it, because there's a lot of those being given out all over the place. Wash standard Nigerian money in those red t-shirts, $300 in most instances, balled up. And it's going to get worse over the next 2 days. So I want you to reject that. I want you to give your support to the Democratic Labour Party. And here in Christchurch, give Dr. Dennis Lowe your full appreciation for his work in the past, but all that you can give to ensure that it works even better for you in 2018 and forward. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks to the Minister of Education, Ronald Jones, a champion of the People's Army. And now, my co-chair, have the distinct pleasure to welcome to this platform Dr. Dennis Law, parliamentary representative for the constituency of Christchurch East since 2008, and who will be returned on the 24th of May. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome this champion of the People's Army.
Yes, a man who provides a listening ear to his constituents, a man who given to his organizations within the community their support, a man who has always keep his constituency office open. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dennis Law. Good night, one and all.
Good night.
Good night, one and all. I am so delighted to be here tonight. I am so delighted to see all of you out. And I'm equally delighted to have my colleagues here with me, led by Robert Bobby Morris, Mr. Peter Barrow, who are members of the campaign team, and of course, members of Parliament, Mr. John Boyce, Mr. Ronald Jones, Mr. Richard Seeley, who was here earlier, and of course, we also had the able assistance of Mr. Derek Allen. Yeah, don't sit on those hands. This is a party tonight. And we're gonna celebrate. We're not waiting until the night of the 24th. We're starting now. We're starting now. I hear some noise coming from somewhere out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, a few years ago, to be exact, in 2002, I came to this constituency as a total stranger. I left the hills of St. Andrew and journeyed to the plains of Christchurch East. I came here as a total stranger, not knowing anyone. As a matter of fact, not being in this part of Christchurch before that time, the 25th of November 2002. And I have to tell you, it's been one of the most glorious journeys I've ever taken. And I've met some of the most wonderful people in my life. I am so proud of the young people and the young at heart, all of whom make up the support base for the Democratic Labour Party in this constituency. This evening before I came here, a young man from Fairy Valley called and he said, "Boss, you don't have anything to worry about. You are going to be returned as our MP because you have done so much for the people in this constituency." He said, "Don't mind the talk. Don't mind the talk. They're like dogs tied to a chain. And they see you and they bark. But when you get close enough to the fence, they run under the cellar. That's what they're like. And we are not worried about them because I challenge my opponent to bring his record and let's compare records. Long before I became your MP, I was doing great things in this constituency. We were running summer camps. We started a youth group. We were supporting the sports clubs. And we were supporting the schools. And that was long before I became the MP in 2013. That was it? 2008. 2008.
Stealing from yourself.
I never thought that a poor boy from very humble beginnings, raised by a single mother, one of 10 children, I never thought that my journey would place me where I am tonight. And the reason why I'm here is because of you, the people of this constituency, the people of Parish Land. I know that they tell me that the Parish Land community is not the community that I should rely on and do a lot of work in. But I found out on my own, that Parish Land is one of the most vital communities in this constituency, and that the people of Parish Land are people who take their politics very seriously. Now, you had an MP named Reginald Farley. He was Minister of Education. He did not accomplish an ounce of what Ronald Jones is accomplishing in education. He was the Minister of Housing and Lands. Didn't accomplish an ounce of what Michael Lashley and now Dennis Kelman have accomplished. He was the Minister of Commerce. He did not establish a single business in this constituency and did not do anything to help the people in the area. All of a sudden,
Reginald Farley is on the campaign trail. And when the constituents wanted to find him when he was the MP, they could not find him. I often say about him, he's a decent guy. Pleasant fella. Likes to tell a lot of jokes. A broad smile. But this is not about that. This is about the representation of people. When you check the record, if Reginald Farley got 20 people were in this constituency, he got 20,000. It is a fact. And all of a sudden now, he's out there running up behind that clown called Abrahams, who is a master at telling lies. He is one of the biggest liars in Barbados and the Barbados Labour Party. And I'm going to show you tonight why I can say that without any fear of contradiction. Because you know, they say that their lawyers don't lose cases. Well, I have a case against him in the High Court for libel. He got up on Providence Corner and told people up there a whole bunch of lies on me, including that I am an international criminal and that I started my career in crime in Silver Sands. I don't know why he's picking on Silver Sands, but we're going Silver Sands tomorrow night. And I will talk to the people down there about that. Don't know anything about me, but in order for him to gain a political advantage, he feels that he has to walk about and tell lies. Only about 3 weeks ago, the landowner that we rent our office from started to cut a road next to the constituency office. Had nothing to do with me. He went and took a video and put it on Facebook, claiming that I, in the dark of night, went and cut a road before I cut roads for the people in the constituency. And I am telling you, very quickly, relatives to the person who owned the lands came forward and said, look, Dennis Lowe had nothing to do with that. They quickly pulled down the video off Facebook, but the tale has still been told. He is a liar. And I don't know how you can, in good faith and good conscience, go to the polls and mark an X for Wilfred Abrams. But that's not the only lie. That is not the only lie, there more. I understand, or it is alleged, that Cynthia Ford, the frizzle fowl, went down by Roy Smith last night and claimed that the Barbados Labour Party has nothing to do with same-sex marriage. Now, that is not part of them. They have nothing to do with it. And they seem to have forgotten that there was an article in Barbados Today written by Neville Clark on November the 7th, 2014, entitled Backlash. BLP members split over same-sex resolution. This is what it says. Now, in the first paragraph, it says a resolution, I want you to listen to this carefully, a resolution tabled by the Christchurch East Branch, of the Barbados Labour Party, which seeks to place same-sex couples on the same level as heterosexual couples. Heterosexual meaning men and women, as the Bible suggests that that's the kind of family unit that we should have. In any new domestic violence legislation, this is what they're saying, same sex. But Christchurch East Branch quickly got up and said, that they had nothing to do with the resolution and they wanted their names withdrawn from the resolution. I want to ask the Christchurch East Branch members tonight whether or not they still support Wilfred Abrams, and if by association they also support same-sex marriage. In other words, what they want, what he wants, is for men to be married to men, women to be married to women. In other words, bullers marry bullers, and wickers marry wickers. Now that shouldn't surprise you, because the Barbados Labour Party is led by a self-proclaimed wicker. Self-proclaimed. Doesn't have any liking for men except those men who don't have balls. Because the behavior of the men in the Barbados Labour Party is as if they have been neutered. They can't stand up and face the leader of the party, even when they know that the road she's taking is the wrong road. Now, I have taken a position that I will never support any legislation on same-sex marriage. That's my position. Because I believe in the biblical way. I believe in the biblical way. And a whole city was destroyed because of homosexuality. Sodom and Gomorrah was completely destroyed. And the good book still says that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin as a reproach to any people. I told them in the House of Assembly, if my party had brought a resolution to support it, I would resign. I would leave, because I am not going to be a part of that kind of behavior. So we have someone up here who's talking about he is fighting for our children. Be careful with your young boys. That's all I have to say to you. He is fighting for our young children. But what he's really fighting for is same-sex marriage. He said that there's nothing to be afraid of. And my team passed out the article tonight amongst the audience. Read it for yourselves in the event you think that I am misrepresenting the facts. Read it for yourself. And if that's the kind of person you want leading parish land, then it is a matter for you. A lot of his colleagues got up in that same conference and said they are not supporting him. You know who they included? They included Dwight Sutherland. They included Trevor Prescott. They included Ronald Toppin. And they included St. James Central MP Kerry Simmons. Well, I don't know how much to take Kerry Simmons' word, because Kerry Simmons is noted for being fork-tongued. He has a tongue like a snake. And you know, he was also involved in the absence from Parliament when a resolution was brought in the House of Assembly against domestic violence. And he, as well as Mayor Motley, missing in action, he, as well as her, abstained from that debate. He never showed up. But I know why. I know why. Because if I was being accused as killing birds, and there was a debate on the killing of birds, I would not want to be in the room. Would not want to be in the room. So they exempt themselves from power because they know that they have questions against their name. And that's why I'm telling you, you cannot afford to put a Mayor Motley to lead Barbados. There are too many marks against her name. First of all, she cannot tell the country whether or not she has an LEC, but she's practicing law. And in my words, she is a fraud. And we know for a fact that she does not have an LEC. And we've been calling on her for the longest time. Since 1999, she challenged me on the legitimacy of my education. There was a debate, as you would recall, at CBC. And when she started to give her opening remarks, she said, I don't know whether to call you Mr., Doctor, or who. And I, in my decent way, rather than giving her a similar retort, because what I should have said, I don't know if to call you Miss or Mr. And that's what I should have done. And I remember everybody saying to me, man, go after her. I said, no, take your time. A time will come. And the time came on the floor of the House of Assembly. And she challenged me on my credentials. I presented, you know, if it were an ordinary person in this society and the legitimacy of their education was questioned, Barbadians would have been hauling them over raking them over the coals. They would have. But you have a duncy woman, a very duncy woman that talks pretty, but she's shallow. And there is not a single memorable speech she has ever made in Parliament. And we are afraid of her because her last name is Motley. But I am not afraid of her. I am not afraid of her. And I will challenge her anytime. You know, she don't like me. She always picking on me. I could imagine what would happen if she became the Prime Minister. She probably would try to shoot me, put me down, you know, get me off the scene. But I don't worry about man and what man can do. My faith is in God. And God will protect me regardless of who is Prime Minister and who is not. My concern is that it's ordinary people like you out there tonight that need someone to give you hope where there's no hope, that need someone to give you a voice where your voice is quieted, that need someone to give you a hand up when you are down in the rocks. And I believe that I've been sent to you for a time such as this. And as long as you give me the honor, I will continue to represent you in the way that I've been representing you. Imagine this. In 10 years, we have been able to find close to 500 people employment in this constituency. Go back to Johnny Cheltenham and come forward and put every single MP in one basket. And I'm telling you that they would not come close to doing that for this constituency. Not close. Cheltenham, Wendell Callender, Reginald Farley, and Ginger Bourne. And all of them, Tyrone Eswick, all of them. And I know that when you lump them together in one pool, that you cannot find. And there are people in this constituency who is suggesting that we want change. What change do you want? Tell me. Change? Change? Are you kidding me? You want an MP who's going to perform. You want an MP who's going to defend you. Like I had to do with the workers from this constituency during the retrenchment when Mayor Motley, Wilfred Abrams, went public and said that the people from Christchurch East, whose jobs were saved, that they should have to go home, and the people who went home go back to work. It is a fact. That's what they said. And can you imagine that someone who now tries to court your vote could have been in the forefront of an argument. This evening when that young man called me, he also told me that he has been saying to the few supporters he has that the DLP is going to lose the government, and when the DLP loses the government, that he has to send home my people to make room for his. Can you imagine that? But he ain't got, well, that's the saving grace. If he's going to send home his people, if he's going to send home my people for his people, it means he's only going to send home about 4 or 5 people. Because he ain't going to support. Everybody in this constituency says the same thing about him. He's arrogant. He's cheap. He walks about with $10 in his pocket. And the youngsters up here told me some months ago that they asked him to buy some drinks, and he went and he bought Busters. And the youngest fella in the group said to me, "Boss man, the man trying to give us diabetes." That's what it is about. And let me say a warning. I understand that there's some counterfeit money circulating in Barbados, including this constituency. Be careful what you take. Make sure you have a money machine that you can pass it through to make sure that it is not fake, because they're trying to offload on you. I have told my people up here, if they bring money, take the money. If they have a money bag, snatch the bag. They cannot call the police because it is illegal. I have already advised you all, youngsters, when they come through with their duffel bags of money, don't go for the bills, go for the bag. The whole bag. Let them run it down. Let them call the police. They can't call the police because they should not be, in the first place, they should not be engaging in that kind of activity. So our record will show that we have worked hard to get our young people employed. I have listened to the cries of many. Young people who came to me and said, "Mr. Lowe, I don't want $20, I want a job. I want to help my children. I want to have my own home, my own transportation." And I've met hundreds of them. Everybody ain't get through yet. But I promise you, if you return me to office, we are going to continue to work to get you in employment. Now there are youngsters from parish land, and that's one of the things that they can't deny. Those who would wish to be detractors, they can't deny it. There are young people from this area who never worked in their lifetime. And now they're not only are they working, but some of them have been appointed in the government. Some of them have been appointed. I recall one night at my constituency office, a young man came to me. He sat down in front of me and he broke down in tears. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Mr. Lowe, I've gone to everybody and asked for help, and nobody would give me any help." I said, "Well, you got your police certificate of character?" He said, "Yes, but I'm ashamed to show you." When I said, "Give it to me," and he gave it to me, and I held it up like that, it fell to the ground, the last page, because it was decorated. He said, "Mr. Lowe, I know you can't help me. I know you can't help me, but I'm begging." That young man today has been working in the SSA for the last 7 years. Same young man, the same young man, I'm not going to call his name, but the same young man has been working in the SSA for 7 years. And that was the same young man who said that nobody would give him any help. There's another young man, and you will hear him probably tomorrow night on the platform. He, from another district, lived in prison. He was there so often. he practically had his own room up there. And he came to me and said, Mr. Lowe, I went to Reginald Farley. And Reginald Farley told me that I am a criminal and that he will not recommend me anywhere for a job, but here's $20, put that in your pocket and go along. That's what he told me. And he's going to tell his own story. And when he came to me, I asked him, what can I do for you? He said, Mr. Lowe, all I want is a job. He said, and I promise you I will not let you down. I will work hard to ensure that I do what I have to do. He started out in drainage. And when the drainage program was discontinued, I made sure he got a job in another agency. Now, the truth of the matter is that he's one of the best workers in his department. He has not gone back to prison since then. He's now married and enjoying a successful life in his community as a young Christian. That's what we are here about. Not pretty talk. We are not here about just telling tales. We are here about supporting the young people and the people in this constituency who need help. And I am proud of what we've been able to accomplish in that regard. And I pledge that once you continue my work and continue to support me, that those of you who haven't gotten help yet, by the grace of the Almighty, you will get help. I promise you, you will get help. I know sometimes we have had to confront situations where people say, man, but look, I've been to you 4 times and I ain't getting away yet. You forgot me? I said, no, I ain't forget you. I can keep working for you. That's why when you look around, you will see so many young people behind me. These are young people who are committed, and a lot of these young people you see on board now are not working yet, but they're committed to what we preach. And we preach that every single individual should have the opportunity to be successful in life. When I was growing up, I didn't have a lot to go by. I ain't had a father to cry for me. I only met my father about 4 years ago for the first time. I was in London. That's where he lives. And my sister, my older sister, arranged a meeting with him. And when he got to the hotel, and they called me and told me that there was someone down there to see me, I came down the stairwell, and when I got to a certain point, I saw this man. And when I saw this man, I thought I saw myself. And I said, that has to be my dad. And I walked down, and he walked and met me. We hugged and we cried. And he said, don't hate me for what happened. Let me tell my story. And that whole night we spent in London talking about the past and the happenings. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. I am not embarrassed of my past. And I tell the young people when I encounter them, don't be embarrassed of where you are. Don't be embarrassed of what you've gone through. For you have a leader who understands your walk because he has walked that path before. You have a leader who's been touched by the same infirmities that you have. Touched by the same sufferings. Touched by the same hardships. And I am telling you that once you give me a chance, I will lead you to your promised land. That is my commitment to you. I will make a difference in your life and in your family's life. There are homes around this community tonight who can say without a shadow of a doubt that because of the work of Dennis Lowe, my son or my grandson, my daughter or my granddaughter, my niece or my nephew is gainfully employed and helping the family. That's what we are here for. I'm not asking you to support me because I want to get back to Parliament. I'm not asking you to support me because I want to be part of a cabinet. I am asking you to support me because I want to continue my crusade. to ensure that this community is continuously lifted up in a way like it has never been lifted up before. And that's what we are here for. That's what we're here for. So jobs is only one of the stories. My comrade Ronald Jones said tonight, we've put recreational spaces all over this constituency. And you know, recently we built a gazebo in Silver Sands. And my opponent said that the only reason why the gazebo was built is because I want my name on a plaque. The truth of the matter is that my name is on plaques all over Barbados. From King George V Memorial Park to Mount Poyer in St. Lucie, all through St. James, parts of St. Michael, and in Christchurch. Don't worry if Christchurch East has benefited significantly, because I believe that home drums should beat first. And that is with recognition that I support my colleagues as well. The first park to be built in parish land, we built it right over there. And you know, since my opponent has suggested that I build parks because I want my name on the plaques, the plaque at this park has been destroyed 3 times. And I'm now wondering aloud if he didn't have something to do with it. A beautiful park over here where the children come in the evenings and have fun on the swings and the slides and so on and so forth. Fairy Valley, there's one up there that the Indians have taken over. That's the most popular park in Barbados for Indians to gather. But they are Barbadians too, and they should have the right to enjoy anything that we do for our country. But the people in Fairy Valley, they appreciate the effort. The people in Elam Park, the people in Chancery Lane, these are resources that we put at the disposal of our constituents. And they're proud of what we have done. They are proud of what we have achieved. And I believe, my brothers and sisters, that as we continue, we are going to make things better for you. I am here for the people. But it's not only jobs, recreational green spaces. We've also done our share in supporting schools and sports clubs. Every year, we supply all the trophies for the primary school, St. Christopher and St. Bartholomew, for the graduations, and for the sports day as well. We also have a $40,000 after-school homework program that has been going for 3 years at St. Bartholomew and St. Christopher, where teachers provide math and English lessons for students after school. And I'm telling you, the performance of the students in the last 3 years has improved significantly. I don't walk about and boast of what I do, but I believe that this time around, I have to tell my story. I cannot wait for someone else to come and tell it for me. I have to blow my own trumpet, because if I rely on somebody else to blow it, they're going to spit in it. So I have to blow it myself. And I am proud of the work that we've done. Listen, I have never asked a sports team in this constituency to put my name on their backs. I have never done that. But I've supported Silver Sands, I've supported Parish Land, I've supported Fairy Valley. I have supported these teams, and sometimes to the tune of $9,000, $10,000 in a season. That's what we've done. And I'm proud of it. And I continue to work with the young people in this regard. But I am telling you that our work on the ground has been historic. And that's what representation is about. Representation is about getting on the ground and making sure that you make things happen for your people. I've not only done jobs and supported schools and built parks all over the place, but I've sought to assist the shopkeepers in the constituency. They've gone through a hard time in recent times. And what we've done, we've brought activities to their doors by hosting competitions. And every karaoke competition we do, they raise a significant amount of money. Because people follow me. People follow me. Where Dennis Law is, you're going to find a large gathering of people, especially the young people, and especially the young women. They come out and they bring the young men, and that's how we're building our own Christchurch East Army. Army, a battalion within the nation's army. That's what we're doing. But we've done that. Listen, this community has benefited from those programs. Silver Sands community has benefited from them. Only recently we did one at London Bar. We don't pick and choose. I know there's some people who would rather support the Labour Party, but at the end of the day, I am their representative too. And therefore, if something is coming to the community, they have to benefit. And that's what we try to do. So when I hold up my record in the face of anybody, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am the highest performing MP this constituency has ever seen. The highest. So you have a choice to make. And your choice is not just about a party choice. It is not just about an MP choice. It is about a choice that will move your opportunity and state in life further along. All I want to do is to help you to realize your dreams. All I want to do is to ensure that through my work, you can look back and say, thank God Dennis Lowe passed through. And don't mind the haters. The haters will always be there. But when they push hate at us, we will push love at them. I recently went through, and you heard Ronald Jones tonight, a slew of criticisms. I was dying. I had gone to Canada. I had cancer. I have AIDS. I lost a leg. All of those things were being peddled around this place. That's right. I'm still fully man. And all that happened to me was that I had a fall one very early morning in my house, fell down. I wasn't drinking either, but I tripped over shoes or something and fell and hit my knee and literally shattered it. I called for assistance. I couldn't get off the floor. I had to call Gaylan and Mikey to come and assist me. This is after hours lying on the floor, literally helpless. They rushed me to the doctor. After the doctor did his examination, he determined that I needed attention to my knee. I went and saw a rheumatologist, and she said that the knee had fluid on it, but the fluid had hardened up, and it was a strange sight. So she suggested that I needed to see an orthopedic surgeon. I went to the surgeon, and the surgeon immediately requested that I decide whether or not I was going to live with the pain for a while because she knew the campaign was coming up, or whether I would have the surgery immediately. And her recommendation was, I think you should go ahead and do this. I went through 2 surgeries. 2 surgeries. And at the end of the day, ended up with 40 metal staples in my knee and 2 screws that are still in there. Listen to me, folks. I am standing here tonight because of the grace of the Almighty. And I'm in this fight tonight because of my love for you. I could have called it quits. People suggested that I hang it up. I said no. The work is not yet completed. There is still much to do, and there are still many more people to help. And through my pain, day in and day out, I come out here to fight for you. My opponent thought he saw a glimmer of hope and was walking around telling people that Derek Allen was running for me up here. He said that I was on my last leg and I wouldn't survive. All of those things. Tonight, I'm standing here in the name of God, the Almighty, and I will continue to work for you because that is my commitment. So I want to give you the assurance. I want to give you the assurance that my knee is on the mend. And I am on my way back to 100%. Have no fear. I will be here for a long, long, long time. I am not going anywhere. And with the support of my comrades, those who are here behind me, those who are around the country tonight speaking on different platforms, I will stay the course. Because I love the Democratic Labour Party, and I love what it believes. And I believe in what Dlpbarbados said, that in this country, every man should be able to rise to his maximum potential, and that opportunities will be created, that you should be able to achieve what it is you want to achieve. And to every young man, and every young woman, and every parent, and every uncle and aunt in this parish land area and the surrounding areas, let me assure you tonight that the best is yet to come. And I will continue my fight for you. The best is yet to come. And your children, and your grandchildren, and your grandchildren's children, we are fighting for them, because I want to make sure that before I go off the scene, that I can walk this community and say and hear people say, it's because of that man there that I'm where I am. I know young people now have their own cars. They are feeding their children and sending them to school. I know they're building their own little house now. And I know they are marching forward. I could have chosen to give you a fish. But I decided, with the wisdom of the Almighty, that it would make more sense teaching you to fish, so that you can fish for a lifetime, rather than having a fish only for a moment. And you're not going to be treated like the boys in Sales Court recently, where my opponent hosted a fish fry. And I've been told that they had 11 fish and 9 fish heads. That's what the boy said. I wasn't there. And then walk out and talk about it. I believe that if he was a man of faith, he would have had 5 loaves. And he would have prayed for an increase. And probably would have gotten more. But that's the nature of the man. Now, I didn't hear him say this myself, but I've been told, it is alleged, that he says the people in this constituency like to beg too much. and that they're hungry, they beg too much. Well, if you beg, I also beg. Because I remember the days in my own life when I had to go and ask for a meal someplace, when I had to do chores to get a meal. I remember those days, and it is my purpose to ensure that none of you, the young people, the mothers and fathers of this constituency, ever have to subject yourself to the suffering that you've gone through before. That is our purpose. That is our message. So, we are now identifying a new work plan for the next 5 years. There are more things we can talk about. We can talk about our food hamper program. Every year, we distribute over 150 food hampers at Christmas, and that we were criticized for. And then every month, we try to do about 10, because we realize that people eat every day. So we can't just wait until Christmas. That's what we realize. But you see these people think, as a matter of fact, an old man told me just a few days ago, he said, Brother Law, do you realize that Christmas has come early? I said, what do you mean? He said, because of the red Santa Clauses. Santa Clauses are all out there. Everywhere you go, he said, there's red, there's red, there's red. He said, Brother Law, you know what we should do? We should go and get 2 bull cows. And when you see them on the streets, let go the cows. The cows don't like red. They will run them out of town. Well, I ain't got no bull cows. I don't even know if there's something called a bull cow. Oh, Egbert, Maloney, you said Maloney got a couple of bulls out there. But that's it. They think that they can subliminally influence us to believe that they are going to do for Barbados what they have never done. They have never been a party of the poor people. They have never supported the working class, the poor working class. That is why he could walk to send home people so fast. That's why his leader has threatened that if she becomes prime minister, she's going to send home this body and that body and this body and that body. But I'm telling you, if I have to fight to my knees to ensure that the goodwill of the people of this constituency and Barbados is protected, I am prepared to fight all the way. So what we're going to focus on, and I'm going to end at this point, is the creation of a work plan that includes training services for young people. I spoke to a couple of young people from Fair Valley only yesterday, and they are interested in setting up a program at the pavilion there where they can get some life skills. Silver Sands, the same thing. Sayers Court, the same thing. Inchmarlow, the same thing. There are young people. When I came to this constituency, there was a view among the Labour Party that the young people did not want any work. That all they wanted to do was to hang out on the block and smoke weed. That was the view. I know what I'm telling you. And that's why unemployment was so high in this constituency. But I have come to understand from the same young people that all they want is work. Mr. Law, I don't want the money, I want job. Mr. Law, I don't want the handout, I want a job. I want the brandy, I want a job. No long necks, because they're going past the broad shoulders now. I want a job. The young people in this constituency are industrious. They want their lives to be uplifted, and that's why I am going to fight for you till the very end. I am going to fight for you. So ladies and gentlemen, come the 24th. I plead with you. Go out and vote for the Democratic Labour Party, go out and vote for Dennis Lowe. And return Dennis Lowe to this constituency to fight your fight for you. I urge you, go in your numbers. I urge you, go early in the morning. Get rid of your business early and then do the other business that you have to do. The young men, I told them, go to the polls early and come back on the block later, because their desperation is going to drive them to come out and pass out money. Be careful what you take, and be careful where you take it. This is not a joke. This is about your future. Ladies and gentlemen, vote for me. Vote for the Democratic Labour Party. Do your thing. Let us return the DLP to office come the 24th. And I've already told my young people, we have a motorcade on Saturday. We have, that's tomorrow, leaving the office at 3:30. We have a fun day here on Monday from 11 to 11 at a jam. And when the 24th comes and we will party for an entire week right at my constituency office. There will be plenty to eat, to drink, and to celebrate. Come and be part of the celebration on the night of the 24th and on to the next weekend. God bless you. We love you. And may God continue to protect you and your family. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard the testimony of a consummate representative. He didn't even have to think about his ministry. And we are thankful that with his CD, explained to you the wonderful work he did on behalf of this country as a minister in his various portfolios. Tonight we have 3 solid speakers to come to you. Next will be John Boyce, then the Right Honorable Frank Stewart and Stephen Lackley. So we have a lot more coming to you, and it's my honor and pleasure to ask one of the magnificent White Shirt 5, John Boyce, to come and address you. John Boyce.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, and it was riveting to sit and listen to Dennis's presentation. And let me say that if ever the people of Parish Land needed a reminder of why they really have no choice in terms of who they vote for as a member of Parliament, well, they had that reminder tonight. Dennis was thorough. Dennis made sure that he separated himself from the nonsense that is featuring in the Barbados Labour Party campaign. And really, he set the tone for Christchurch, at least, and indeed, the entire country, to understand the kind of challenge we face on the 24th of May when we go to the polls in our 30 constituencies. And of course, last night in Oyston, we had the presentation of the Democratic Labour Party Manifesto 2018. And I hope by now that Dennis has been able to make sure that at least every household in parish land has a copy of this document. It is extremely good reading, and it helps, as Dennis just did, to separate the Democratic Labour Party from what is being presented by the other side. And I was happy last night when the Minister of Finance, when Chris presented on behalf of this party, and indeed presented the manifesto, because it shows once more what I've been saying almost every time I get up to speak in this campaign: the choice that we have to make. It explains to the people of Barbados the full appreciation by the Democratic Labour Party of the challenges that we face in this country. And we must, as a team, point out to Barbadians why it is important that we stand the course, and why it is important that we must not allow tinkering and playing around and enticements from the Barbados Labour Party to cause this country to go off course. Mr. Sinclair made the point that we must consider the manifesto in conjunction with this document. That is the Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan. And this is a document, this plan, it is a document of the House of Assembly of Barbados, and it fully explains and it fully sets out the roadmap about how the correction of the economy of Barbados will be continued, and the role that we can play as citizens in making sure that this correction occurs. Because when this correction occurs and is finally in place, Barbados will be then in an even stronger position to deal with the many issues that we have. We make the point all the time: Barbados does not exist alone. We exist in a community of islands in the Caribbean. We're impacted by the vagaries of the economies which we interplay with. Most significantly, the large countries from whom we buy goods, where our visitors come from: the United States, Great Britain, Canada, Europe. So it is obvious, it must be obvious to all of us that when there are economic troubles in those countries, it stands to reason that Barbados will be impacted. And we made the point when we came to office in 2008, we were being impacted by the longest and deepest world economic recession that there ever has been. And we had to battle through that situation. And we have battled. And we have made sure that as we build to this final plan, that the people of Barbados were brought along with us. And today, as we start to recognize some improvements in our economy, it surely is not the time to go back to a situation whereby putting in place all kinds of giveaways and promises and reckless tax changes, etc., and spending money that we do not have, and promising public servants and promising other sectors of the economy money that we do not have. Because, ladies and gentlemen, my good people of Parish Land, that is a recipe for disaster. And the governor of the central bank, and I want to make the point because, you know, we do not share the message of the governor of the central bank. The Barbados Central Bank publishes a quarterly report, and in that report, it tells the story of the performance of our economy, and it speaks independent of the government or the Ministry of Finance in this regard. And one thing I heard, and one thing I have read in this last economic report for the first quarter of 2018, in the message from the governor, is that this is not the time, surely, to start playing around with an economy that is beginning to look in the right direction. And therefore, the kind of reckless promises being made by the Barbados Labour Party must be rejected for what they are: reckless promises that cannot be fulfilled. Put out there to get us, or to get Barbadians to do something silly and shake the foundations that we are in the process of building. And the Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan, which by the way has been signed on to by the members of the private sector through their representative, Mr. Charles Herbert, and his statement is here on Roman numerals, page 5 of the document. We've heard a lot of statements from him since then, of course, which makes one wonder about the sincerity of this negotiation at the time and the statement made therein. We have a statement from Mr. Cedric Murray, President of the Congress of Trade Unions. We have a statement from Ms. Toni Moore, the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union. And of course, there's a lead statement from the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Frundle Jerome Stewart. And the features of this plan, and I want to set them out because it recognizes that we cannot reach the goal we want to reach overnight. It precisely shares with us that we need to take time one step at a time so that we can maintain during this process, especially our social programs. So we anticipate that we will build a comfortable net international reserve level. That's our foreign exchange picture, so to speak, by the year 2020. We're not rushing into it. We recognize how important it is, but we are giving ourselves time so that we can gradually get back to that strong position. And we set 2020 as that goal. We want to achieve fiscal sustainability through a balanced budget, always important. But again, we have set 2020, 2021 for achieving that balance. Accelerate GDP growth to reach something like 3% by the year 2021. Establish a credible and sustainable debt management program. Now, when you hear some of the economic commentators, you would start to think that the business of debt management is not or has not been occupying the minds of this government, this administration, all along. But you have to be careful when you're discussing the question of debt management. You know, you have to put yourself, you go to that stage when you build yourself into a strong enough position that you can at least negotiate from a position of strength. You don't want to start with on your knees. You have to get to a position of strength. So the picture I'm trying to place tonight to the people of Parish Land is that we recognize and we've put in place the plan which is going to see this economy corrected, fully corrected, and on a growth path once more. But you have to be able to understand. We have to stick to the plan. We have to be strong. You have to stay with the Democratic Labour Party to ensure that this plan gets to benefit all of us, and recognize that while we understand the importance and urgency, and we are putting in place these measures for economic correction, the underpinning factor is that Barbados remains not only an economy, but a society too. And this has been the mantra of the Democratic Labour Party for all the while that we have been a political party in Barbados. And because Barbados is not only an economy, but a society, along with all the programs associated with these improvements, must be a strong social program which takes care of our education, which takes care of our social services, which takes care of our health, which takes care of our sports, our youth programs, our cultural programs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the message of the Democratic Labour Party, and it makes it absolutely easy for you to decide. And to be sure, when you go to the polls on Thursday next, you vote for Dennis Lowe here in Christchurch East, and for all of the Democratic Labour Party candidates in Christchurch and throughout Barbados. Good night, and God bless you.
Thank you, John. Our next speaker needs no introduction. It is with much great pleasure that I introduce to you our party leader, our political leader, the Prime Minister of Barbados, and comes the 24th, the Prime Minister again of Barbados, the next Prime Minister, Fandel Jerome Sure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, the good people of Parish Land here in the constituency of Christchurch East. Thank you, the family of the Democratic Labour Party, before whom I feel honored and pleased to stand tonight, not only to support the candidacy of my friend and colleague, Dennis Lowe, but also to promote the platform of the Democratic Labour Party. And I should like to say a special thanks to the constituents of Christchurch East for the very warm and tumultuous reception of which they thought me deserving. And it's always a pleasure to be in Christchurch East. The hospitality is good, and I do not think that tonight is likely to be any exception. We are involved in a critical election here in the year 2018 because there could not have been a greater divide between the two contending political parties in this election, the two major parties, than is the case in this election. The Barbados Labour Party is up to all of its old tricks.
That's right.
Treating Barbados as just an economy and treating the concept of economy as just an assemblage of statistics. And the Democratic Labour Party, of course, true to its history and true to its foundations, continues to locate people at the center of its concept of development. So the divide is very, very clear. So it is not surprising sometimes to hear them say that the economy is not doing well and that the economy needs attention, because as far as they're concerned, the economy is some abstraction out there in the stratosphere, defined and identified only by arithmetic, by statistics. It does not occur to them that you really cannot have an economy without educated people. So when you are discussing education, you are discussing the economy. If everybody in Barbados were sick, we won't have any economy, because an economy for its proper functioning depends on a substantially healthy population. And we have tried our best ever since the formation of the Democratic Labour Party to try to get this simple message across to the Barbados Labour Party. But men of commerce have so taken up residence in their heads that as far as they're concerned, running Barbados is no different from running a business. And you look at the bottom line, and you chop here, and you chop there, and you cut back here, and you cut back there, and you add here, and you subtract there. And that for them is what economic management is about. We in the Democratic Labour Party not only feel differently, we know differently, and we have done differently. And that is why the fingerprints of the Democratic Labour Party can be found on practically every aspect of Barbadian life, because our view of development is a holistic view, and we do not separate people and what they are doing, people and their welfare, from the economic state in this country. So I had to come here to Christchurch East tonight to put the case of the Democratic Labour Party, and of course to put the case of the candidate for this constituency, Dr. Dennis Lowe. I have had to empathize and sympathize with Dr. Lowe because he has been so badly politically slandered by the miscreants and perverters of the truth in the Barbados Labour Party that it must have been very difficult for the people of Christchurch East to have to ingest and to internalize all that was being said about their representatives. If what they were saying is true, I am pleased tonight to be a witness to the resurrection of Dennis Lowe. Because from all that they were saying, he had either died or was near death. And they said it, of course, with a certain amount of pleasure, perverse pleasure, what the Germans call Schadenfreude, a malicious pleasure in other people's misfortunes. And tonight I am pleased to see that he could stand here before you and acquit himself as well as he did. And of course, he did no differently last night in Austin as he launched the manifesto and as he promoted the candidacies of all the 5 Christchurch candidates. But that is nothing new to the Barbados Labour Party. I have from time to time had to answer telephone calls asking me how I am doing because they spread abroad that my toes have been cut off. This is an old tactic of theirs to undermine confidence and faith in their adversaries whose reputations they cannot impugn, and therefore they have to find some other way to try to destabilize not only the adversary, but people around that adversary. Now, all elections are contests between political candidates. All elections are contests between 2 political parties. And all elections are contests between 2 visions of the future, or visions of the future. And if I may address those 3 levels of generalization, I begin with the contest between the candidates of Christchurch East. Now, Barbados, modern Barbados I should say, is a very interesting place. We have created opportunities for people from our communities to make their way through the society and to contribute at those levels that are consistent with their abilities and of course with their capacities and so on. But there's a peculiar type of individual that these opportunities have produced. There's a type that goes to school, having left primary and secondary school, they go on to the university, having got a degree, and having started to work, they try to get a home. Having got a home, some elect to get a wife, some do not. The next thing they want, of course, is a gun license. And of course, they want to get a dog, and he must be of a certain breed. And then something tells them that all of this having happened, their sense of fulfillment is still inadequate. And the next thing they think about is taking a shot at getting a seat in the House of Assembly. That type is beginning to proliferate here in Barbados. And the candidate of the Barbados Labour Party in this constituency is perhaps one of the best exemplifications of that journey. He brings nothing at all to politics. He brings no conviction. He brings no vision of the future. He brings no philosophy, but that is not an occasion for surprise because the party he belongs to has none.
That's right.
All he is committed to doing is profiling himself, letting no opportunity slip to get his name or his photograph in the newspaper. He is not uncomfortable even when he talks foolishness. And he uses all of that to say to the people of Christchurch East that he is deserving of their support and that they should elect him to the House of Assembly. He served in the Senate of Barbados for the last 5 years, generated more heat than light in everything he said, educated nobody. In fact, every time he opened his mouth, he subtracted from the sum total of human knowledge and understanding. But tonight he feels that he should sit in the Parliament of Barbados as an elected member, and if he gets there, he will feel he should get a ministry too, and all of this without any political conviction about anything at all. And I've seen quite a few of that type sitting on the other side of the House in the opposition over the last 10 years. Barbados can do without that. What we need in politics today are men and women committed to service. Men and women who want to raise the gaze of the people of Barbados to new and hitherto unimagined horizons. Men who want to, and women who want to give history a nudge. Men and women who want to make Barbados a better place. Not people who are just interested in self-profiling and building up a CV and walking around the place, pushing their chest up and giving the impression that they are important and very often more important than the people who made their opportunities possible. I am prepared to spend all of my political energy fighting that type, because we did not get to where we've got in Barbados by investing in that type. This country historically has invested in politicians who brought something to the table, who had a vision for the poor, who were committed, and certainly the ones in the Democratic Labour Party have always been, committed not to confirming the mighty in their seats, but committed to exalting the humble and the meek. And that is what the Democratic Labour Party has been about. And that is why, faced with a choice between being a flag bearer for the Barbados Labour Party and being a flag bearer for the Democratic Labour Party, I took the decision from my tenuous years that it had to be for the Democratic Labour Party, because I saw nothing or heard nothing from the Barbados Labour Party that could convince me that my energies and my intellect and my conviction and what I had to offer to Barbados could be properly utilized through the mechanisms of that organization. And I am aware that when faced with the same choice, Dennis Lowe decided similarly and committed himself to what the Democratic Labour Party stands for, represents, embodies, and has practiced ever since its formation in 1955. So, in the choice between the two candidates in this constituency, constituents of Christchurch East should have no difficulty. You have, over the last 10 years, supported Dennis Lowe as your Member of Parliament. He has delivered for you. He has rejoiced with you when you have rejoiced, and he has wept with you when you have wept. And you have rejoiced with him when he has rejoiced, and you have wept with him when he has wept. And between the two of you, there has developed a bond that has operated for the benefit of the people of Christchurch East. The other fellow, as I say, is interested in profiling. And if it were possible for me as Prime Minister to open a door for him to go to Hollywood or Bollywood, I would send him there. He's an actor. No commitment to anything, no conviction about anything, just interested in self-advertisement. And Barbados has too many of that type knocking around. If they give an amputee a wheelchair, they gotta call the whole Caribbean media to show that they're do-gooders. Every little thing that happens that could give them a little promotion, they have to let the whole world know. They have not internalized the immortal lesson of the best example available to mankind, the Lord Jesus himself, who restored a blind man's sight and told the blind man, don't let anybody know, just go and show yourself to the priest. But the blind man was so overjoyed, he went and told the whole world. That's the best advertisement you can have. You don't have to do the advertisement yourself. If what you do for people really matters, they will spread the word for you. But they don't understand that, and that is a problem with the Barbados Labour Party. They all behave in the same way. We in the Democratic Labour Party have a different culture altogether, and therefore we are not interested in those kinds of optics. So I want to urge you, on the 24th of May, to go to the polls and vote for Dennis Lowe as the representative of the constituency of Christchurch East, as you've done in 2008 and as you did in 2013. In so doing, you will be guaranteeing yourselves and guaranteeing the Democratic Labour Party and guaranteeing the country. The contribution of a man, very thoughtful man, whose contribution to the deliberations of the cabinet are a source of enrichment, and who lightens the darkness of people around him, not only by the things he says, but also by the example he sets. But it is not going to be enough if you just, in the exercise of your responsibilities as a citizen, go to the polls on the 24th and vote for Dennis Lowe and the Democratic Labour Party. It is also your duty to try to encourage as many people as possible to do the same. And I tell you why I said that. Because, and I said it last night, I will repeat it here tonight. The stage has been reached in this Barbados where there are persons who take for granted the right to vote which they now enjoy. That right to vote was not always available to us. That right to vote was not a gift to us either. The right to vote has to be fought for. People lost their lives while fighting for it. People lost their reputations while fighting for it. People compromised their families' reputations in their pursuit of it. And it would be a slap in the face of those people who are now resting in peace, having completed their earthly labors and left us so important a legacy, if we just decide that we are not going to exercise our right to vote and to ensure that the best government is chosen for Barbados and that Barbados is kept on the right course. So, staying at home is not an option. When you stay at home, you have chosen, but you have chosen not to pursue the right, and you have left the door open for the wrong. And we cannot afford that in Barbados today. The voices of those who defend the right must not be drowned out in Barbados by the voices of those who defend the wrong. And you can only ensure that that does not happen by standing up and determining that right will prevail in Barbados. Now, you're not only choosing between two candidates, you're choosing between two political parties. And the Barbados Labour Party has never accepted that the decision you made in 2008 to change the government and to return the Democratic Labour Party to office was a right or sensible decision. They have continued to question the wisdom of the electorate of Barbados in choosing the Democratic Labour Party in 2008 and again in 2013. So right through the last 10 years, all we could hear from them was the politics of distress, the politics of despondency, the politics of despair, the politics of destruction. And while they were saying all of this, what they were saying was contradicting the actual experiences of people in Barbados who were getting on with their lives. Children were going to school, workers were going to work, buses were running on the playing their routes, and life was going on in Barbados. But they were saying the opposite of all of that because they never accepted the verdict of the people of Barbados in 2008 or 2013. And in this election campaign, they have determined now that having been unable to persuade the people of Barbados in 2008 and 2013, that in addition to the politics of distress and despair and despondency and alarm and destruction, they will now resort to the politics of recklessness. So, a menu of measures has been put before the people of Barbados for their choice and for their consumption. Having said that Barbados is in the poorest state it has ever been in since universal adult suffrage or since independence, they're now coming to give the impression to the people of Barbados that the same Barbados that is on its knees, according to them, can afford all the giveaways that they're promising. I find this incredible that they could be so bold, having said that everything is wrong with Barbados. It cannot afford this, it cannot afford that. Mia Martin has stood up in the House of Assembly on many occasions and said that the problem with Barbados is that we are running a government that we cannot afford. And although we can't afford it, according to her, she is now coming with measures that will require us to spend even more than is being spent now, but spending more by earning less. Now that does not work in your household. It certainly has never worked in mine or my mother's household. You can't add by subtracting. You can't multiply by dividing. You have to choose what it is you're going to do. And to suggest that Barbados is on its knees financially in one breath, but then come to the people of Barbados and to say that you are going to take away what it is that makes it possible for Barbados to pay its bills and to continue to employ people in the public service and so on. You're going to repeal all the important taxes that earn revenue, while at the same time increasing the expenditure of the government on a multiplicity of services. Something is fundamentally wrong with that. It is the politics of forgery. And it presumes that the people of Barbados can't think, that they cannot analyze, that you can tell them anything and get them to believe it. It is an insult to the intelligence of the people of Barbados. That kind of politics has to be rejected. We launched a manifesto last night, and no objective observer of the local political scene could truthfully say that that manifesto overcommits the government or overcommits the state in any respect. It is an exact reflection of the state of Barbados today and what is needed to get Barbados to move from where it is to another state. How can it be that, for example, in the year 2000, the government of Barbados was transferring to the University of the West Indies $60 million. By the year 2009, the government's obligation had moved from $60 million to $197 million, more than triple. And you can be telling Barbadians today that you know of a means by which, in spite of the fact that government's obligations to the university has more than tripled, you are going to, with less revenue, increase government's expenditure in relation to the education of our students at the university. It doesn't make sense. How can you, in the face of the fact that over a 7-year period, Barbados lost on average $258 million in revenue every year as a result of decisions made in Canada by the Canadian government that affected our international business sector and therefore affected our ability to earn corporate tax revenue. So you're earning less, but you want to spend more, and you want to spend more not only by accepting that you're earning less, but what little you're earning, you want to repeal as well. So you can repeal the National Social Responsibility Levy, and you can repeal this and repeal that, and you expect people in Barbados to take those plans seriously. Not surprisingly, the more loquacious economists in Barbados, the ones who have talked a lot, have kept their mouth shut over those proposals. And one who didn't talk a lot, but who has a certain amount of intellectual integrity, Professor Michael Howard, had to come out and say that it is madness. It does not reflect reality. So the choice between the two parties is a clear one. One party, the Barbados Labour Party, is into the politics of cynicism and the politics of opportunism. Say whatever is required to get people on your side. So if you meet a young man who does not have a job, and a job is what he wants, promise him a job. If you meet a young businessman or a businessman not so young, whose need is some seed capital or whatever to get himself off the ground, and he doesn't have it, promise him that. If you meet a single parent who wants a house, promise her that. If you meet a minibus driver who wants a few more licenses, promise him that. Promise to everybody you meet what they say they want, so that they will feel that they have a stake in your success, will support you, and then of course, having used them in that way, and having got what you want, you then dump them after the election. That is the politics of cynicism that is being played out in Barbados today by the Barbados Labour Party. We in the Democratic Labour Party have never had any time for that. Because in order to have time for that, you have to have a very low, you have to hold people in very low esteem. We take people and their interests very seriously, and therefore we respect them. We respect their intelligence. We know that even though we are on this side of the fence, we speak from platforms, we sit in parliament and so on, we hold ministerial office and so on, we know that fundamentally there is no difference between us as human beings and you as human beings. Right. If you tickle us, we laugh. If you tickle you, you laugh. If you prick us, we bleed. If you prick you, you bleed. There's the only thing that separates you from us is what you have chosen to do and what we have chosen to do. But the relationship between you and us has to be based on respect. We cannot go into that politics of cynicism and just
symbolically manipulate people, making promises we know we cannot keep, just to get their trust and just to secure what it is we want. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I want to urge you tonight to reject the politics of cynicism, reject that politics of opportunism, and when you go to the polls on the 24th of this month, vote for Dennis Lowe and the Democratic Labour Party. Reject that politics of cynicism. It is dangerous, and Barbados will be the worse off for it if it is ever given a chance to prevail. So Dennis Lowe and the Democratic Labour Party are your choices on May the 24th. And before I sit down, let me say this. You also have a choice between two visions of the future. The Barbados Labour Party, through its present leader, has committed itself to a politics of entitlement. She was told by her cousin in 2002, it was published in a local newspaper, when she was admitted to the inner bar of Barbados as the Attorney General and as the Queen's Counsel, that her bloodline, which meant his bloodline too, because they're cousins, that her bloodline signified for the present and signified for the future that opportunities that knew no bounds or knew no limits, opportunities for higher achievement that knew no bounds or knew no limits, would be available to her. Her bloodline, who her father is, who her mother is, who her grandparents were on both sides, paternal and maternal, who her cousins are, by dint of those facts alone, the blood that runs in her veins is supposed to be superior to the blood that runs in your veins or in our veins. And that because she has that special blood running in her veins, opportunities for higher achievement, both now and in the future, are open to her. Those opportunities have no bounds or no limits. Now, tell me something. The Democratic Labour Party was formed on the 27th of April 1955 to fight all of that, the politics of privilege. We committed ourselves when the Dlp was formed in 1955 to create a just society in Barbados. And the just society was defined as a society in which there was equality of opportunity, there was equality before the law, there was equality in our social relations, and there was equality in the exercise of our freedom as citizens. We never elevated any, or our philosophy as a party has never elevated any set of individuals based on any special blood running in their veins above the rest of the population. So that dangerous doctrine that we thought we had left behind when slavery was abolished in Barbados in 1838 after the apprenticeship, we thought we left that behind. But political victories are never finally won. When you have registered a great advance in history, the next step, the next responsibility you have is to try and defend that advance and protect it. If you look to our great neighbor in the north today, for a while they thought that the issue of civil rights and so on was fought for and won, so you don't have to look back at that anymore. The average American doesn't feel so today. because they did not work hard enough to defend the civil rights which they had acquired after so many years and after such a bitter struggle. So political battles are never finally won. Having registered their success, you then have to spend time ring-fencing that success and defending and protecting it. So, bloodline politics is back with us. And it was back with us for a little while. We didn't know. We did not know when the favors were being done as between members of the family. Favors that ordinary citizens are screamed off from enjoying. We didn't know. I knew. But now that these things are being exposed, you're seeing crocodile tears being shed, people being described as unfair, where they've gone so far back for that it happened already, where you're worrying about. But if the perpetrator had been somebody like Dennis Lowe, or John Boyce, or Stephen Lashley, or Frendel Stewart, it would never be too old to wake it up from the past and throw it in their face. That would be a method of control. So let us understand where it is we are. That the struggle before us is to defend the Barbados that the Democratic Labour Party came into existence to create, has created, and intends to improve upon. Equality of opportunity, equality before the law, equality in our social relations, equality in the exercise of our freedoms. Those rights, those opportunities have to be defended, and they can only be defended if on the 24th of May you make the right choice. And the right choice is to vote for Dennis Lowe in Christchurch East and the Democratic Labour Party, and to replicate that right across Barbados. In Christchurch West Central, Stephen Lashley. In Christchurch South, John Boyce. In Christchurch West, Fernando de Pisa. In Christchurch East Central, Ronald Jones. And right across the country, send a clear message that we are not into bloodline politics. We are into the politics of conviction, of integrity, of strength of character, the politics of falling down and getting up again and continuing the struggle, the politics of trying and failing, but never failing to try. The politics of honesty and uprightness. That is what we're committed to. And these have to be defended with all the vigor at our command, because we now know, if we've forgotten, that if we relax our vigilance, all of this can be taken away from us, and Barbados can be pushed back for generations. So ladies and gentlemen, you in Christchurch East have a great opportunity to give history a nudge, to push Barbados forward. And you can do it by the decision you make on the 24th of this month here in Christchurch East. Every constituency in Barbados has the choice, that same choice to make. Choices carry consequences. If you make the right choices, the consequences are good. If you make the wrong choices, the consequences are bad. I don't stop quoting Professor Dumbledore from one of those Harry Potter books. Dumbledore told Harry Potter, Harry, it is not our abilities that determine what we are. It is the choices that we make. It is not our abilities that determine what we are. It is the choices that we make. Choices are important. And I want to sensitize you here tonight to the importance of the choice you have to make on the 24th of this month. And that choice will determine what becomes of Barbados for a long time to come. And I urge you to think carefully, assess carefully, evaluate carefully, and ensure that when you go to the polls, you vote for Dennis Lowe and the Democratic Labour Party here in Christchurch East. And in so doing, you would have ensured that Barbados continues to be on a vertebrate path to a secure future. So stand strong, do the thing. Vote for Dennis Lowe and the Democratic Labour Party. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting a bit late. We have two Lashleys here who could certainly deliver some lashes tonight. But we're inviting them to come back and join us at our rally tomorrow night. We start rallying at 3:30 and we'll be back for a meeting in Silver Sands at 7:30. So we're looking for you to come back again. In the meantime, we thank our speakers, ending with our Prime Minister for the very important message that he delivered tonight. And we hope that you will internalize all that he has said. And on that day coming very soon, the 24th of May, throughout Barbados, we will be delivering the government again to the Democratic Labour Party. We can trust the Democratic Labour Party, so do the thing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good night and God bless you.